Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am back with another Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month card kit. This one's for February of 2019, and the theme for this card kit for this month is called Whip It Up, which I think is absolutely adorable. My sister will love these. She's a baker. So here is the box. They are shipping now in the box so that we can have better protection of the products. And as always, I will have the downloads available for the ingredient sheet, and I will try to follow the sketch sheet, which, yeah, Teresa, I missed one, but I picked it up. Okay, so let's look at what we get. As always, we get 2 pieces of white cardstock, and we get 1 sheet each of sour apple, raspberry, blue raspberry, wild cherry, grout gray, and craft. So remember, everything that I'm showing you here is for the Double Dip Sunday package. So for collection 1, it's called Cupcake Cuties, and this is our double-sided pattern paper, 6x6, and you get 6 sheets. I am in love with these colors. And please let me apologize now. I am coming off one of the worst colds, and I don't think it's ever going to leave me. Okay, so our stamp is by La La Land Crafts called Baking Marcy. And then we get a sequin mix by Scrapping for Less. Now, there's a couple other things that will be in your first collection of cupcake liner papers and a roll of cupcake ribbon by American Crafts. So, again, at the time that this was shipped, I didn't have all those items, but you will have those within your first. For collection number 2, this is called Bake with Love, and the papers are also, once again, by Scrapping for Less, and I love the variation in these. We've got some bright bolds, along with some vintage. By La La Land Crafts, the stamp is Baking Luca. And then, as always, we get a sequin mix by Scrapping for Less, and we get some great Baked with Love ephemera by Scrapping for Less. And again, in this collection too, there will be baking stickers by Sticko, which is EK Success. So again, I don't have those items to show, but just know you will get those in your collections. For collection 3, let's bake a pie. So the paper, of course, and remember, in each of the collections, we get an envelope. So the paper, again, is by Scrapping for Less, and it's called Let's Bake a Pie, of course. And we also get some recipe labels by Darcy. Sorry, Teresa, I was inspired by the recipe labels. Yeah, you'll see what I mean. Okay, Handmade with Love round stickers by SB Labels. We get a sequin mix by Scrapping for Less, and the stamp set is Cutie Pie Stamp by Lawn Fawn. Which, who doesn't love those little stamps? Who doesn't love all these little stamps? They're awesome. Great stash builders. For collection 4, this one is called Cookies and Milk. So there's our envelope again. Our paper, again by Scrapping for Less. It's called Cookies and Milk. And it is double-sided. And I really like these colors too. I like the brown and teal shades going together. And these adorable mice. Oh, they are too cute. We're even going to open those. They are just too cute. Look at those little guys. And they die cut really, really well. But they are so cute. So tiny. Nice little fillers. You also will get some sequin mix by Scrapping for Less. You will get some baker's twine by Desiree. And our stamp set is by Scrapping for Less, and it's the Cookie Mouse, which I think is absolutely adorable. Some great sentiments that you can build upon as well. Now again, everything that I've just shown here is the Double Dip Sunday level. So if you subscribe to that level, this is everything that you're going to get. If you subscribe to the Banana Split level, you'll get everything that I've already shown here, plus this packet here. So in this packet, you're going to get a great die set by La La Land Crafts, and it's a whisk and rolling pin die. Your stamp set is by Scrapping for Less, and that's Whiskey Business, which I think is absolutely precious. Oh my goodness. You get some Heart Silver Glossy Dots by Pink and Main, and some Diamond Sugar Dust by Craft Decor. Now, please remember, again, everything you see here is the banana split level, but please note, any item here can change subject without notice. Excuse me, let me try that again. All items can change without notice due to availability, but they only change them if it's necessary. So to save time in all my cards, let's get started in card 1. I did perform all the cutting, or excuse me, the coloring and any die cutting that I needed to do off camera. So for the first one, I colored my little Darcy, or excuse me, Marcy, with my colored pencils. The cold, it's the delirium coming through with me. It's horrible. I sound like I'm holding my nose. I promise you I'm not. So I did use my colored pencils to color in. Just know that when I use colored pencils too, when I color an image such as one of these little girls, I am using Copics for the face. I just think it looks nicer. So for this one here, I am actually following, excuse me, sketch number 4, and I'm just layering up. So I grabbed a couple of the cardstocks, I've cut them down, created my strips. I stamped my sentiment, life is short, lick the bowl. I just loved that sentiment. I thought it was awesome. So I'm just layering my pieces to make sure that I have the right sizes. When it comes to that, I am going to use my vintage photo just to go around the oval the oval die I used to cut out for her. I just wanted her to have a smooth edge, but using the vintage photo does provide like a small frame around her so that she can like look like she's coming up off of the pattern paper. I'm going to use some of my phone squares to pop up my sentiment on one side because I have that center strip set, or raised up I should say, using some double-sided tape. I'm also going to use my liquid adhesive to adhere that down onto the strip extending over my panel. I like to curve the edges of my banner just to give it some dimension, and that piece is strategically placed to go over my back panel. So it's just going over just a little bit. It is not even, your eyes are not playing tricks and games on you. Nope. I used a hand punch that I have from my stash just to cut out some hearts. One from red cardstock and another one from one of the pattern papers. And I'm going to set that in place. All right, I'm going to adhere my whole panel onto my standard A2 size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it is a top folding. Now, 9 out of 10, my card bases are a standard A2 size top folding. So that is really what you'll see throughout this video. I pulled out the sequin pack and I'm just placing some sequins around her. I wanted to make sure really that a sequin went on her bow. I wanted that to just have that little bit of accent, just to give it some sparkle and shine. And we're all set there. And I'm remembering to use my triangle plates very well now. Yes, I was having a difficult time there. And that is our first card. So for card number 2, I really wanted to play with these papers. I loved the vintage look on some of these papers. So I chose the baking one for my background. And then I chose the red and white polka dot, which I thought was like on the same color scheme there. And I just set that up to the top. And now the sketch that I'm using for this one is sketch number 2. So just an FYI there. And I'm just layering. I had so much fun with these. So I have one going to the top, and now I want the mixers coming down to the bottom, and I'm going to trim off that edge as well. I'm then going to use the blue and white polka dot, and I'm going to prop that up using some double-sided foam tape from my stash. just to set that in place. And then once that's set, I do have that hanging over just a little bit. Because, one, I can't line things up. And two, you guys know I like to have things hanging over. I'm going to set my card panel in place. My tape runner wasn't working there, so I figured, okay, glue. And once I set that down, I wanted to play with the ephemera that came in this collection. I just fell in love with it, and it was the hat. It was the hat that I fell in love with. It just looked cute. So I already had cut a slit along the base of the hat. I'm just making that a little bit longer with my craft knife because I want to sit that over the bowl. I don't know why. It was just something that I saw. But I did want to be able to put that over the bowl so it's like the hat sitting there. I'm going to use some double-sided foam squares because it's going off the blue panel that's already been raised. And remember, you should take the release paper off of the squares before you set it down. And then I'm going to put the whisk in front of that. And oh, I do apologize for my voice. I am just hearing this, and believe it or not, it was worse. Yeah. That's why, guys, you haven't seen too many videos. It wasn't the flu, but I'm not sure what I had, but it lasted forever. I'm finally just starting to come out of it. So I do apologize. I sound horrible. I know. I used one of the ephemera that says, "What's cooking for my sentiment?" So I really enjoyed that card. So for card number 3, yes, Teresa, you were in my ear, and I'm sorry. So I attempted to use sketch number 3. Yeah. I had this awesome idea. I saw those little pies, and I did use my Copics for that coloring of my pies. I thought it would go a little quicker. So I cut a panel using one of my stitch rectangle dies, and I grabbed my black pen and a ruler. Now I started with the T ruler. One of the things that I like though about my quilting rulers is they have 1/4 inch marks. So I could just move that along and know that I'm getting 1/4 of an inch every time. So I did pull that out. From one of the cardstocks, it had the phrase baking pies. So I wanted to cut a slither of that off of the cardstock. And now I'm just placing the pies that I've colored along the bottom. So I just want them, hanging off. I want them hanging off the edge, whether it's the side or the bottom or anything like that. And then once they're placed, I have another hand punch. I have a lot of hand punches of hearts. Different sizes. Yes. So I wanted to make sure that I had hearts on top of each of my pies. So I'm just placing a little glue dot and then setting the heart in place. So that gives it some accent that's going along the bottom. So if you can't see, what I'm actually creating is a recipe card. So I thought it would be really cool to make a recipe card. And what inspired me for that are the recipe labels that you get in collection 3. They're recipe labels by Desiree. Now, it's right about here. Well, no, not really. So I'm using my Nuvo sparkle pen, adding a little bit of sparkle to the hearts because we've got to have some sparkle when we're baking pies. It's right about here that I realize, forgot to follow the sketch. I know, Teresa's giggling at me. Sorry. So I'm looking at this going, okay, well, we can put this on a card. So what I did was I used the tab that's on the sketch, and I wanted to make sure that I adhered it, but only to the bottom. So this little tiny tab is going to stick out just a little bit. And I have a wooden clothespin, one of the miniature ones, in my stash. So I grabbed that and I connected the recipe card to the front of the card, but the tab's still there. So this way they would know, you can remove that, when you can write on the tab. I follow the tab. That's what I'm trying to point out there. You could write out on the tab, unclip me, or make something. And then people would know that they would be able to take the recipe off the front of the card. Yeah, I know. I tried to save it. Don't pick on me. Okay, so for card number 4, again, I used my colored pencils to color my image in, and I did also use the Copics, actually, for the body of the mouse. So I already have my pieces cut, again, to save time. And I'm just going to set my cardstock in place. And for this one, I'm following sketch number 1. So I'm just setting my pieces in place. And I really liked the soft colors that came with this collection as well. Now, even though I already set down that panel, I'm still able to get the twine behind it and wrap it around. So that's kind of looking at the banner that's going across. And then I'm just going to tie a knot on the side. I'm trying to get it straight, but we're just going with that. This is where I attempted to tie a bow and knew that, it just wasn't going to work. So I figured, knot, and that's what we went with. And I just want that dangling off the side. I'm just going to make it even on the other side. And you can see onto the left what I did. There's some cardstock that had these cookies. So I fussy cut those out because I thought they were cute. I'm going to grab one of my strips, and the sentiment I'm using is, "Without you, I would crumble." I thought that was really cute. And I kind of put that towards the top of this strip because I'm going to put it along the side of my image. Now, I already used a stitched rectangle die to cut out my image after I colored that. I'm going to place the side of it right along the base of that sentiment. And then I'm going to trim each of the ends to be even with my stitched rectangle cut out there. I'm then going to come in with a corner rounder and just to round out those corners. And then that's going to sit on top of my panels. I am going to use some double-sided foam tape to set that up onto my card panel. And for this one, I am working directly onto my standard A2 size card base. Now I'm going to put my corners onto my 2 panels that I adhered. And what was great with the pattern paper, it already had the straight lines, so I just had to cut along that from each of the corners. Once they are set, and thank goodness I was able to just get her down into that corner as well. I think they add a great accent. So now I'm going to use these cookies, and I'm just going to place them down around the corner here as if they fell. But then again, the sentiment does says, "Without you, I would crumble." So get it? Cookie crumble? Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, I look at the sentiments. That's what kind of inspires me when it comes to creating a card. Yeah. So I'm just placing those. I'm layering them. Yeah, that's going to be a tough word to say right now. I am layering them into place. Oh, guys, I am so sorry. This is getting worse as I continue to talk. And that is our card number 4. And again, followed sketch number 1. Forgot to show you that. So for the 5th card, I had a lot of fun with this, with the banana split collection here. Lots of fun dies. I did all the die cutting first, so you can see that I have my rolling pins already cut from Desert Storm. I have my whisk cut from my silver, but I also have black cut because I want to do the handles. I grabbed my glue pen And I'm going to use the sugar dust, and I'm going to put that over the handle of my whisk and over the whisk area. So I'm going to, now that little pot that I have the dust in, that's something for my stash. Yours will come in the bag. I took it from the bag and put it in there so I could store it better. Now, what I'm doing here is when I cut the whisks, I use the silver, and then I also cut the edge out using a black cardstock because I wanted them to have black handles. Now, I'm really speeding this part up because I wanted you to see all of this. So what I want to do is with the die cuts that I have cut out, I'm going to create a background. So I used a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 cardstock panel. I will be cutting that down. Now, when it comes to the rolling pins, I am using my vintage photo to put a darker color along each of the edge and along one bottom or one side. This just gave them a little bit of shading, dimension, and some character, so to speak. So you can see I'm doing that to each of them. So now we're just going to go have fun and place these around. So I just want them scattered all over. Once I know where they're going to be placed and how I want this to look, then we start gluing them down. And I am going to use my liquid adhesive to get them in place. So I wanted to make sure that as much of each of the images were on the base of the cardstock, but I did want them to go off the edge in some of the areas. So again, it makes it look like it's a pattern paper. That's planned. If we just set all of the pieces, into the center or not let it go off the edge, it's not going to look like a pattern paper. Not sure if that makes sense. I could be explaining it wrong because I'm getting completely stuffy and it sounds just awesome. This is going to make me laugh at myself forever. So you can see I'm just adding glue everywhere, setting them down. Once they're placed, I will trim around the edge. I do make sure that this is laying flat with some pressure, with some items on top as well. I do that off camera before I run it through my die cut machine using a stitch rectangle die. So the sentiment. Now, I love this image. I think this is an awesome image. But it was covering up all the work that I just did on the front. I didn't want to lose all of that detail. So I'm going to add some of the hearts, the mirrored hearts, or the glossy hearts. I'm going to go around the edge using my vintage photo, and I'm going to set that on the front of my card. Standard A2 size card base, and it is a top folding. And once I have that set, I still have my sentiment. And it's not an issue. Because what we're going to do with that is we're going to put that on the inside, which you can do. Just because you have your sentiment card doesn't need to have a sentiment. But it also means you don't have to need to put it on the outside either. You can put it on the inside. Now you can see as I'm putting my vintage photo around, I'm going heavy around the one side because I know that's down on the bottom. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to adhere that, and that is our final card. So as always, here are the close-ups of the cards that we made today. I do hope that you enjoyed it, that you enjoyed the designs that I came up with using the Scrapping for Less February 2019 card kit. And remember, this month's theme for February is called Whip It Up. And I think it is absolutely adorable. Yep, here's my favorite. Yeah, it is. Sorry. If you should have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. Again, I do apologize for my cold. It's a keeper. Absolutely, this is one of my pleasant moments. but I will get back to you as soon as I can. I will have links to the Flavor of the Month website so that you can place your order, so that you can get yours. I think this one's going to go pretty fast, so make sure you do order it soon. And I will also have links to their blog, their shop, and also for the downloads, both the ingredient sheet and also the card sketches, because you want to make sure that you get those as well. I want to thank everyone so much for watching. As always, I do appreciate it. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and tune in for my next video. Here are a few other videos featuring scrapping for less that I thought you might like, and of course, similar to this one. Take care, everyone. I hope you don't have a cold like I do, but always remember what's most important. Always be creative.